Chess. So recently I've been wanting to become a bit stronger when it comes to my overall play. And the way I figured would be pretty viable is to start studying Grandmaster games. And I recently wanted to, I've had interest in Botvinnik's games, so he was the first choice. He was like, okay, who do I want to study out of all the Grandmasters? Botvinnik. Why? Because he has amassed a large number of games that have been annotated, and he's contributed to much of modern theory. So I purchased Botvinnik 100 selected games on Amazon.com, and the first game in the book is as far as I've gotten, and so far so good. I've input this into LeChess.org's new study tool, which is a shared analysis tool. And not only have I input the game itself, but I've also transferred over the annotations and essentially translated the annotations from the old way of notating to the current way, which is a bit of a hassle given my level, but it was instructive nonetheless. So when I do these videos, I want to go ahead and just run through the game once and communicate Botvinnik's ideas using his annotations, and use this as an introduction to further study. So if someone is interested in the game in the future, they can go ahead and jump into it and do their own computer analysis or comment on their own lines. And I'll provide access to this study in the description as well. So let's go ahead and run through game one. This is Mikhail Botvinnik versus Gosta Stoltz. This is November 7th, 1926, and Botvinnik is white. Let's go ahead and check this out. We start off with d4, d5, c4, Queen's Gambit position. Black plays e6, Queen's Gambit declined. Knight c3, knight f6, bishop g5, essentially fighting over the control of the light squares here and pinning the knight. Bishop e7, breaking the pin. e3, reinforcing the center, and usually this is a good idea after you've gotten your bishop out of the pawn chain. You can start putting your pawns on the same colored square as long as the bishop is out. Okay, black castles. Knight f3. b6. So here's the first of our Botvinnik annotations here. And he says, Capablanca frequently resorted to this defense with the preliminary 6h6. So before b6, he would play h6. And he was followed by Tartakower, or maybe that's Tartakover, Makognov, sorry for the butchering, and Bondarevsky. I knew it was customary to reply with 7, c takes d5, but in those days, my chief aim in the opening was to develop my pieces. So, just to give a little bit of background, this is Botvinnik annotating a game over 20 years later. So he has a bit more insight. Okay, white plays rook c1. Maybe I should get rid of these arrows. But essentially, white is preparing for the c file to open up, and when it does, if and or when it does, he is ready with his rook here. Rook will become that much more powerful. Alright, bishop b7, continuing with the plan. In addition to setting up a fianchetto or fianchetto, depending on how you prefer to pronounce it, white is also preparing a c5 push. Okay, bishop d3, once again, fighting for control over this square. And knight b to d7, so just continuing development, also continuing to prepare for a c5 push. White castles. Now black plays knight to e4. So another course for black would have been c5, queen e2, c takes d4, e takes d4. Let's just go through the line. Another course of action would have been, sorry. Is it c4? Oh, c5, queen e2, c takes d4, e takes d4, d takes c4, and bishop takes c4, creating an isolated queen's pawn position. Now, in these types of positions, the side with the isolated queen pawn is fighting to prove that this is an asset, while the side facing it is trying to prove that it's a weakness, usually with ideas of blockading the pawn, trading some pieces off, and then ganging up on this. In instances where fighting against the isolated queen pawn, in instances where that side is correct, then eventually, for example, white in this instance would not be able to hold it. But if white is correct, white in this position, then this pawn becomes a great asset in the endgame. Okay, so basically Botvinnik was saying this is another idea for black to create this type of position, but what black played seemed a bit more natural. Okay, now bishop takes e7. Botvinnik says of himself, white didn't spend any time thinking here. What is the exact wording he says? White made his next move without stopping to think. So he immediately captured. He says now perhaps he would prefer bishop to b4, avoiding simplification and causing black difficulties. So let's talk about that. He says he'd prefer, he'd prefer bishop to f4. Oh, sorry, I annotated this incorrectly. This is something I'm still getting used to this. So it's actually bishop f4, not bishop b4. And he's now threatening to take the pawn, followed by taking this. Like, imagine if black just makes a random move. We have takes, and then this is problematic for black. Let me edit this. This is bishop f4. Excellent. Okay. But okay, he took and black recaptures. Now we have c takes d5, e takes d5, and you probably guessing this next move is a bit tough, but Botvinnik went ahead and played knight takes e4. Now, if you want to go ahead and pause the video or give yourself some time to think about what the next few moves will be, you can go ahead and do that now. So let's talk about the annotation after this. Botvinnik says this is a combinative miscalculation. True, black already has a good game as f5 cannot be prevented. For example, I have this line here. Let's just say bishop b1, f5, knight takes, pawn takes. We have this shot here with rook takes c7, pawn takes, and then white grabbing the bishop, followed by queen g5, and after g3, this is a bit of a mess of a position, but what does the computer say? White is still winning. So there may be some additional analysis that Botvinnik missed in regards to evaluating this position. It gets a little crazy with his recommendation. We can go a bit further. Yeah, and he has white playing some bad moves here, so I invite you to look at that. I've already gone into that with computer analysis, so feel free to check that out. But let's jump back into the game. So pawn takes, it was the move played by black, followed by rook takes c6. Now this is a pretty cool move because if white captures either of these two pieces, if black captures either of these two pieces, white has an advantage. This is a nice defensive move and probably the best move in the position, I believe. Yes, even the computer's calling for it, although now I'm going to turn my computer evaluation off. So when Botvinnik says when he decided on the combination, he thought black would continue with either bishop d5 or rook b8. In either case, bringing the knight to e5 is winning for black because you're putting pressure on this knight, and you know, if you have to do something like this, you can go ahead and take. I mean, all of these types of variations are available here. Feel free to look at those. I threw a few of them into the notes. Okay. Whoops. Did I skip ahead? Okay, so he plays this defensive maneuver, and White's next move is bishop b5. So Botvinnik says, I thought this was the best chance, but in reality, the correct move is bishop e2. Let's look at the sample given by Botvinnik. Bishop e2. Queen d6, attacking the rook. Queen c1. Takes. Hitting the rook here. Bishop takes. And now grabbing this pawn. Yeah, this is a bit of a mess. Excuse me. And I advise you guys to check out some computer analysis because I think the computer found some better moves in this line. But this is the given line by Botvinnik where he says he has 3 pawns for a piece. There's something way better. This was the move that's way better, and White's just winning here, but I'll let you guys look at that one. Okay. So after bishop b4, after bishop b5 rather, black can finally recapture that knight, or capture the knight rather. Let me turn this computer analysis off. Queen takes f3, and now we see queen d6. Now, White's response, or White's annotation, says, an attractive move, but after it, black has a lost game. Rook b8 would have been much better. Even so, after queen c6, rook d8, rook takes a7, White has 3 pawns for the piece and exerts strong pressure, so let's look at that. Queen c6, just really hunkering down on the defense of this knight. And bishop takes a7. Do I have something here? I may have some comments after this. You may want to look at this even more. White may have missed a shot here. Or maybe even black missed a shot. I can't remember. Okay. I'm giving things away. Okay. So instead, black plays queen d6, just hitting the rook. An attractive move. So if you didn't see what I just played, if you want to go ahead and guess the move, go for it now. Let me remove these. Excellent move alert. Queen c6. This is definitely a shot. So we're hitting this 3 times. We're hitting the knight 3 times, right? That's clear. We're also asking if black would like to trade queens. And if they do, queen takes, bishop takes. We're hitting the knight twice, and we're hitting the rook once. So black is in big trouble. So this is a pretty strong move. Black plays queen to b4, avoiding the queen trade. Now, White gives black a lot of credit here. It says black finds an ingenious defense. If queen takes e6, bishop takes e6, and white recaptures, keeping 2 extra pawns. With computer evaluation, I think white is giving this variation a bit more credit than it really deserves with best play. But okay. Queen is moved. Black doesn't want to trade queens, also threatening a pawn now. So, what is white's next move here? All right, white's next move is queen takes a8. Queen takes a8. What a shot. And black replies with, see if you can find it, bishop a6. And Botvinnik's comment here is the whole point. If 18, queen takes d5, or sorry, if queen goes back to d5, in f6, and wherever the queen moves, we're probably going to just take the bishop. So let's look at that for a moment. So if I go back, if I just want to maintain my queen here, then after knight comes here, wherever I move my queen, maybe I trade it this way, but whatever happens, bishop takes is likely coming, or queen takes. That's the whole point. And then let's see, is black fine here? White's still winning, but probably not as winning as the other variation. Okay. Whoops, I gave away the next move. So white goes ahead and captures the rook. Might as well grab 2 rooks for the queen. And then we grab the bishop as well. After that, black plays h5. And we go ahead and grab another pawn with rook takes a7. And Botvinnik's comment here is black is helpless, condemned to passive defense. Now, from a white perspective, our task is to coordinate our pieces. If we can get our rooks connected, if we can get our bishop, anchored to some sort of pawn, probably this square here, then it's going to be very difficult for black to do anything. So let's see how this plays out. Black just goes ahead and grabs a pawn. See if you can find white's next move. How would you improve your pieces here? Well, for starters, black is attacking this pawn. Maybe we can defend it and at the same time attack. Bishop c4. Not only are we attacking this pawn here, but we're defending our a2 pawn. Very nice move. Knight e6. Bishop b3, just tucking it in, making it very. This is very solid. Black goes ahead and plays h4 for some reason. I'm not really sure. d5. Pushing the knight. Okay. I need to fix this comment because it's still in the old notation, but I have it input here. So here's a line given by Botvinnik. Basically, if knight goes to c5 instead of d8, then d6, knight takes, I throw in a check on a8, and then play d7, and black can probably resign, as there's no way to stop this queen. Okay, back to the game. Remember, we were on knight d8. Feel free to try and find the move. Rook d7, just immediately attacking this knight, asking it where it wants to go. Notice it doesn't really have any squares, right? Doesn't have any squares. So what does black play? Queen f6, defending. h3, just to stop this nonsense here. No need to give black too much counterplay with a move like black playing h3 themselves, which, you know, whether we capture or push the pawn, there could be some problems here. So just stopping all of this stuff here. Black plays b5 for whatever reason, I'm really not sure. And now we start marching the e-pawn, e4. Alright, king h7. Now, what is the move here? Try and find the move for white. What did white play? And what's the reasoning behind it? So the next move is a removal of the defender, or an attempt to remove the defender. e5. e5. So we're kind of asking this queen where she wants to go. And for example, if queen takes, then we can just grab the knight. It's no problem. Okay, the queen remains an active defender with queen to b6. Rook e1, supporting this pawn. Notice the utility of this move. We can't really move our f-pawn yet because the queen has this pawn pinned, but it's unnecessary at this point. We don't need the f-pawn. Can you try and find white's next move here? So white continues. Oh, sorry, black plays b4. White continues with e6. e6. And notice this beautiful reinforcement by the light square bishop as well. F takes e6, d takes e6, and how does black stop this queening? Well, sacrifices the knight. And we recapture while also hitting the queen. And this is really the end of Botvinnik's annotation. He says, a few moves later, black resigned. I mean, right now this is resignable. I'm not really sure what black can do. If we turn on an immediate computer analysis, it has this as plus 8.8, something along these lines. All right, so that'll do it for this first game out of the 100 Botvinnik game study, and I hope you guys got something out of it. Much appreciated. Thanks for stopping by, and I will catch you guys next time.